Hi, do you remember those Minecraft Bedrock prisons from a few years ago, which were actually Bedrock escape rooms, as a prison community is an entirely different thing? Yeah, so I found a bunch of them on Planet Minecraft and decided to run through them as it seemed fun. I'm gonna do it in a point system. If I beat one normally, I gain one. If I do not, I lose two. And if I cheat something, I gain two. I'm also going to alter decorate here and there and just get stuff back from creative, as I do not want to reset a lot as there were quite a few and I had schoolwork. The first room. It was really fun. I spawned in a box inside a bedrock box and
I used F5. See, using F5 gave me a whole new perspective.
three ender pearls in three item frames. I got out of the first box with an ender pearl and then had two in hand to get out of this big box. Now you might be wondering, I could just throw it at the top corner and just clip out of it, as you have seen a lot. But actually the creator covered the entire thing deeply in bedrock. The room ahead of me was a block higher. I had to use two pearls. But after this, I eventually realized I could do something. I figured out I could just jump, which gives me a block height, and I can just throw the ender pearl there as it teleports me to the block front. With this, I escaped the room, saving one pearl. The next part of the prison gives you 2 TNT, 2 planks, 2 piston, 1 trapdoor and 1 lever. I eventually figured out after a lot of shenanigans that I had to make a bedrock breaker. Remember back then when I said the entire thing was covered with bedrock? He forgot to do it here, so I just clipped out and Prison 2 started off really easily. I just had to clip up with an ender pearl. But the next room gave me one of the most insanely overpowered items to ever exist in a Minecraft escape room. A boat. A boat can be used to sail through water, clip through walls, and be broken to get more blocks. But I have a confession to make. I'm playing in Minecraft version 1.21.11, which has patched the wall exploit, so I cannot use it. But all of these prisons were made 4 to 1 year ago, and so all of these could be escaped with a boat. But this also made the video more fun, as I just couldn't spam boats. Hence, I just used the boat as intended in the room and got out through the corner. The next room was really simple. I just had to pillar up with cactuses, and the next part was just walking through powdered snow, and there was a pattern which I used. I could not figure out, or I did not know how the puzzle worked or what was the threat in it, but I just walked through it. The room after that was really interesting. It gave you a lot of materials which I figured I could use to make a diamond pickaxe or something, but I clipped out of this. So there is this niche Minecraft mechanic I found on a Canadian video a few years ago, which lets you clip through roofs. Basically, you have to crawl on the block below the roof and then just clip a block into your hitbox. And when you rejoin Minecraft, Minecraft thinks that you should be standing, but there is a block in you, so it just pushes you a block above and it just lets you jump through roofs. Prison 3. There were a lot of chickens. I do not know what they could possibly be used for, as they gave me lots of eggs. Too many for my comfort. I used the given iron ores to turn iron ingots into 16 iron bars, and I nut pulled up. The next room gave me an ender pearl. I thought I could just pearl up or just click through the edge, as there were barrier blocks above. But it was quite high. I could have done it, but I decided to go to the other platform, and there was a word puzzle or a number puzzle. I did not want to do the puzzle, but I also realized that most prison makers do not guard the behind rest door. So I just pearled behind, but there was a barrier roof, and I just used the given pistons to somehow glitch through it. Prison 4 was pretty badly made. There was no proper start to the map, there was no proper spawn point, I set it myself. There was huge drop, and the basic puzzle was you have to place a block under the ice to make when broken, the ice replaces to water. It creates water. It's basically one of the old Seawards puzzles. I went down and I got some bamboos, which I immediately turned to sticks. Then I used the sticks to redirect the water into the hole to grab the crafting table, but I figured out there was no bedrock onto the crafting table, so I just used ladder to get down. Prison 5 was one of the simplest, yet one of the most fun of them all. I'll come to that later. The first puzzle was a bedrock box which I had to get out of, and I spent a lot of time on it, and after a lot of time, I realized I had to use that F5 exploit.
See, using F5 gave me a whole new perspective and I was able to see a chest I couldn't have seen before.
After getting out of that box, I just got a bunch of pickaxes which I used to mine stuff. And the next part of the puzzle was a 4-court puzzle, and I had to go through a bunch of rooms. There was a painting puzzle which I did a really impressive parkour jump, a parkour room, and an ADHD room. And the final part was a lava room. I wonder where the fire resistance was. The next thing was a quiz. It was fairly simple, but I did not remember how much HP Iron Golem had. And the last part was a simple maze. You see, that's what I was talking about. You don't need a bunch of stuff to make a puzzle enjoyable. This room gave me so little that I did not had anything to exploit. That's what makes a good puzzle room. It's like a river, as Canadians say it. It will flow the easiest route it gets. Prison 6 started off in an actual looking prison. I had to use the F5 exploit to peep around, and I found 2 barrels which gave me 2 pickaxes which I had to use to mine stuff and get a lever. I placed the lever on the door and it teleported me to somewhere else, and this room gave me 2 oak logs and 2 planks. I wonder what I can use 2 trapdoors for. Prison 7 started off in one of those boxes. I just had to get out with the given ender pearl, and there were 2 wolves which I used to get up the ledge. Then I used my button to power a hopper which gave me access to a piston. I went to the second room and there were 2 sand which I got. There was a sand parkour puzzle, but I just used the rest of these things to get back as there was a hole in the wall before. I climbed up and I found a shiny round green thing. I wonder what it does. Prison 8 gave you a bunch of tools. I couldn't figure out firstly what I had to do, but eventually I figured I just had to power the given command block with the acacia plank, just turn it into a button. After getting out of that room, I got enough stuff to make a fisherman, and from lots of speedrunning, I'm a speedrunner, so I personally know about quad strats, so it was fairly easy for me. I climbed the cliff, and the next room there was a puzzle which the password was already given, so I just punched it in, and the next room again gave you a lot of tools. But remember kids, always check behind those redstone. As I said before, most of the people do not cover them. So from mining the hopper, I just realized there was a hole below and I just clutched down. Prison 9 gave me enough iron for an anvil. But then I realized what was stated in Art of War once. Give a man a fish for a day and he'll eat for a day. But if you give this nice individual a lot of iron, he'll most probably remember that iron trapdoors exist. Prison 10 was my first loss. I'll list everything in the room and just try to guess it with me. It was a completely enclosed bedrock box. It was tall, with a chest with 2 bamboos, 4 iron ingots, 4 stone, a lantern, a furnace with a coal in it. Above was a target block with a dropper. There was a hopper below the furnace with 1 durability silk pickaxe and 3 durability normal pickaxe. I tried every combinations and eventually after tiring up, I found out that the hopper had 4 honeycomb. You have your guesses? Yeah, it's most probably wrong. There was a ghost block. This was my first loss and the puzzle was so cool, I am willing to take the lose. But I could have cheesed it in the next room as it gave me 4 bamboos and a dirt block, but yeah, it's a loss nonetheless. Prison 11 was really lazy. I just had to make a boat, and when I got out of the first box, there was a bunch of note blocks which I mined, and below it was just an opening. I still decided to give the room a chance, and the next room had a hole in the wall. I have a very simple question for the map creators. You guys were literally in creative mode. How did you run out of bedrock? Prison 12 looked really fun. The goal of the puzzle was to just get up on a ledge, but the room heavily suffered from the Minecraft mechanic of giving yourself so many blocks that you can just tower up rather than doing a stupid puzzle. Prison 13 started off with giving you a pearl. I thought I could just pull out of the room, but it had a failsafe plan. But it could not anticipate my cursed technique of just moving my mouse a few inches above. Now, as we're approaching the end of the video, the rest of the prisons are pretty well made. The penultimate one is one of the hardest you'll ever see, and I'll save it for the last. The next 2 is made by the same guy, and I really like how it's made. I have not seen it much before, but if you cheese through one room, the entire prison is covered by outer bedrock shell. The 14th room and the 15th room had a few rules. The most important one was do not break any netherite blocks, and you'll just have to remember that. I spawned in a bedrock box, and after using their 5 exploit, I found out enough material to just make a spruce boat. There was a hallway up ahead, and there was a ledge which took my crafting table. The next room was really big. It gave me 2 sand, and there was a drop down, but right above it was the hallway leading to the next room. There was a furnace in the wall with a bow and arrow, and I used it to shoot a target block. It blew up the TNT and I got it. I did some shenanigans as there were 2 droppers up on the ceiling, and it gave me 2 lava buckets. The next room had a tower of sand and wood. There was a hole in the wall which led to a hopper and a crafting table. After I broke the crafting table, the hopper took it. I opened it, but I found nothing. I realized the hopper must be pushing the items to somewhere. I broke it and there was an opening below it. I cheesed through one of the rooms, but remember what I said before, the entire outer shell is a bedrock prison, which I also had to escape. Now I did not have enough stuff to glitch out of the bedrock, but I saw a redstone contraption and I bought it down. Remember I said there was a rule to not break netherite blocks, so I realized this had to be the exit. I might not have any experience with redstone, but leave me around some, and I'll most probably ruin it. So after some shenanigans, I hotwired the thing. Then I just walked down the hallway and scaled down with the remaining blocks. Prison 15 started off with two hallways ahead. I was given two ender pearls, so I checked out both of them. They both had a towering up that led to the next room, and they were quite similar. Both of them had a crafting table in the wall and a stone cutter. But the only part that separated them was one gave you a copper block and the other gave you an iron block. I used both of them to craft iron and copper bars and towered up to the next room. In the next room, there was a target block above, which made me realize I just had to power it somehow. There was a barrel in the wall and a crafting table. The barrel gave you a lot of stuff and it also gave you TNT and cobwebs. I blew up the webs with the TNT, which gave me enough material to make a bow, and the barrel already had an arrow. I shot it up and it dropped down water, opening the way for the next room. Finally, we reached the last prison of the video. A prison that I've been hyping up from the start, and I knew I had to use every bit of my Minecraft knowledge to get through it. All of the prisons that I have been showing in this video, and also the ones that I didn't, all boils down to this. And this prison is called the hardest bedrock prison. As I entered the world, I was still a bit naive. As I opened my single players tab, I found out it was the hardest bedrock prison ever. And also, the creator made sure that even while downloading the map, if you ever were a little bit silly, it made sure that the download file and the unzipped file clearly stated its identity. And as I finally got over my fear and joined the world, I knew I had to log in.